Mind over mayhem. Quantum mindfulness shifts for winning life's toughest battles. Right now, this very moment, your mind is at war with itself. You're drowning in noise, racing thoughts, that constant hum of anxiety that never shuts off. You're fighting health battles, chasing goals that feel impossible, and nobody knows about the hidden daily wars you're waging inside your own head. But here's what nobody tells you. You already have the weapon. It's not a pill, it's not therapy, it's quantum mindfulness, a radical shift in how you use your attention. In this audiobook, you'll learn 3 breakthrough resets that work in 60 seconds or less. Body scan resets, mindful breathing anchors, distraction noticing drills. These aren't meditation, they're tactical tools for warriors. Tools that sharpen focus, demolish mental fog, and deliver the exhilarating personal breakthroughs you've been waiting for. Your life doesn't change tomorrow. It changes right now. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The noise inside your skull. Why you're losing before you start. Listen, right now, as you're hearing these words, your brain is processing approximately 17 different signals simultaneously. 17. Not all of them are conscious, most aren't. Your phone is vibrating in your pocket, or maybe it's not, but you're anticipating that it might. Your shoulders are tense from yesterday's argument with someone you love. Your stomach is reminding you that you skipped lunch. Your mind is replaying a conversation from 3 days ago that you said something awkward in. And underneath all of this noise, you're trying to focus on work, on your goals, on your health, on anything that matters. This is the modern human condition. And here's the brutal truth. You're not broken, you're not lazy, you're not lacking discipline. You're operating at exactly the capacity your nervous system has been trained to operate at. And right now, that capacity is 60 to 70% of what it could be. Everything else is noise. Think about a CEO I worked with. $10 million business, built it from nothing, smart, driven, the kind of person who should be unstoppable. But she couldn't focus for 15 minutes without checking email. 15 minutes. She'd sit down to work on the most important strategic decision of her quarter, and within 10 minutes, she'd find herself scrolling through her inbox. She'd look at her calendar, she'd check Slack, and you know what she told herself? I don't have enough discipline. I'm not organized enough. I'm not cut out for this level of responsibility. But that diagnosis was wrong, dead wrong. The problem wasn't her discipline. The problem was that her brain had been conditioned to process noise as priority. Email notifications trained her to treat interruptions as emergencies. Social media conditioned her to seek constant stimulation. Unprocessed stress from past failures kept hijacking her attention. Her nervous system was in a permanent state of fractured focus. That's not a personal failure. That's a design problem, and design problems can be solved. Here's what most people don't understand. Your brain isn't designed to handle this level of input. Evolution didn't prepare your nervous system for 300,000 notifications per day. It didn't prepare you for the constant comparison that social media creates. It didn't prepare you for the background anxiety of a world that never turns off. Your brain is running software from 200,000 years ago on hardware that's being asked to process the data load of 2026. And the result is chaos. The result is noise. This noise isn't laziness. Listen to me. Noise isn't laziness. It's the cost of living unaware. It's what happens when you don't take ownership of your attention. And most people never do. Most people let their environment, their habits, and their nervous system run the show. They wonder why they're exhausted. They wonder why they can't accomplish their goals. They wonder why their health is deteriorating. They wonder why their relationships are suffering. They don't connect the dots. The noise comes from 3 sources. First, external noise. Phone notifications, people interrupting, the constant hum of emails and messages and requests for your attention. These are engineered. That notification sound, it's designed to grab your attention. The red badge on your app, designed to trigger anxiety. You're not weak for responding to these. You're human, but you have a choice about whether you stay captive to them. Second, internal noise. Your racing thoughts, your self-doubt, that replay of the mistake you made 2 years ago that you still can't let go of, the anxiety about tomorrow, the persistent low hum of "I'm not enough." Most people think this noise is just part of being alive. It's not. It's a symptom of a nervous system that's never been trained to regulate itself. Your mind is producing this noise on autopilot, and you're just letting it happen. Third, physical noise. Tension in your body that you don't even notice until someone points it out. Shallow breathing that signals threat to your nervous system 24 hours a day. Poor sleep that tanks your mental clarity before you even get out of bed. A clenched jaw, rounded shoulders, a knot in your chest. Your body is screaming at you, but you're not listening. You're too busy trying to power through. Now here's the thing. You can't eliminate noise. That's not the goal. The goal is to master it, and that's where quantum mindfulness comes in. Most people think mindfulness is about sitting in silence and clearing your mind. They think it's about achieving some Zen-like state where you're floating above your problems. That's not what this is. That's not what I'm offering you. Mindfulness isn't meditation. Mindfulness is attention. It's noticing. It's redirecting your focus like you're tuning a radio frequency. Quantum mindfulness means doing it fast, instantaneously, with precision. Quantum equals non-linear, instantaneous, precise. Mindfulness equals noticing without judgment. Together, they equal tactical mental dominance. You're not meditating, you're recalibrating. You're taking back control of the most powerful asset you have, your attention. The CEO I mentioned, the one who couldn't focus for 15 minutes, within 3 weeks of learning to redirect her attention, she was able to work uninterrupted for 90 minutes. Not because she suddenly developed more discipline, but because she learned to notice the impulse to check email and recognize it as a distraction instead of a priority. She learned to recalibrate her nervous system in 60 seconds, and her business results changed, her energy changed. Her entire life changed.
Because here's what most people don't understand. Everything flows from attention. Your health decisions flow from attention, whether you notice your body's signals or ignore them. Your goal progress flows from attention, whether you're focused on high-leverage work or spinning your wheels. Your relationships flow from attention, whether you're present with people or constantly distracted. Your emotional state flows from attention, whether you're reactive or resourced. So when you ignore the noise, when you stay fragmented, when you operate at 60% capacity, the ripple effects are enormous. Poor health decisions become the default because you're not paying attention to your body. Missed opportunities become routine because you're too scattered to see them. Relationship friction becomes normal because you're emotionally reactive instead of emotionally regulated, and you blame yourself for all of it. That's the cost of ignoring inner noise. It's not just productivity loss. It's not just frustration. It's a cascade of failure across every area of your life. And the terrifying part is that most people don't even realize it's happening. They just think they're not good enough. They think they're broken. They think this is just who they are. But awareness is the first victory, and that's what this chapter is about. Awareness. Understanding that the noise isn't a character flaw, it's a systemic issue. Your nervous system is running a program it was never designed to run, and you have the ability to rewrite that program. In the next section, you're going to learn your first reset, a 60-second tool that interrupts the noise and brings you back online. This tool works because it bypasses the thinking mind entirely. It goes straight to your nervous system. It works because it's wired into your physiology, and it works because consistency rewires your brain. You're ready. You have a choice right now. You can keep operating at 60%, keep letting the noise run your life, keep wondering why you're tired and scattered and unfulfilled, or you can take back control. You can recalibrate. You can learn to notice the noise instead of being controlled by it. That's the key. The difference between people who transform their lives and people who stay stuck isn't intelligence, it's not genetics, it's not luck. It's the willingness to notice what they've been ignoring and do something about it. Awareness is the first victory, Now let's talk about the tool that turns awareness into action. Let's talk about the Body Scan Reset. Chapter 2 is where you learn the 60-second shutdown that delivers instant mental clarity. Your body is keeping score. Every single stress you don't process, every argument you let sit unresolved, every deadline that made your chest tight, every moment you pushed through instead of pausing, your body is storing it all. And right now, that stored tension is sabotaging your mental clarity. Here's what most people get wrong about stress. They think stress happens in the mind. They think if they just think positively or distract themselves, the stress will go away. Wrong. Stress lives in the body. It lives in your shoulders. It lives in your jaw. It lives in your chest. It lives in your hips. And as long as that tension is there, your mind will keep spinning. Your mind and your body are locked in a feedback loop. And if you don't interrupt that loop, it just keeps feeding itself. Think about what happens when you get stressed. Your shoulders rise up toward your ears. Your jaw clenches. Your breathing gets shallow. Your stomach tightens. These aren't just physical symptoms of stress. These are your nervous system sending a signal to your brain. We are under threat. Stay alert. This triggers more cortisol, more adrenaline, more racing thoughts, more anxiety. And now the physical tension gets worse because your mind is spinning, which makes the body tighten more, which makes the mind spin faster. It's a loop, and most people have been running this loop for so long they don't even notice it anymore. I worked with a woman who had chronic health anxiety, severe. She'd wake up in the morning, and within 30 minutes she'd be convinced something was wrong with her body. Her heart was racing, her breathing was shallow. She couldn't focus on anything except monitoring her physical symptoms. She went to doctors, got tests, everything came back fine, but the anxiety never stopped. And you know what the doctors told her? It's all in your head. Get therapy. Maybe try meditation. But it wasn't all in her head, and meditation wasn't the answer. The answer was her jaw. She was clenching her jaw so hard that she was creating physical tension that was being interpreted by her nervous system as a threat signal. Her jaw was literally telling her nervous system something is wrong, and her nervous system was responding by producing anxiety. She was caught in a loop. Every bit of anxiety made her clench her jaw more. Every bit of jaw tension made her anxiety worse. Then she learned the Body Scan Reset. The first time she did it, she got to the jaw section and realized how much tension there was. When she released it, her racing thoughts just stopped. Not gradually, immediately. She described it like someone had turned off a switch. The anxiety didn't disappear completely, but it dropped from an 8 out of 10 to a 2. And that 2 was manageable. That 2 was just normal background stress, not the all-consuming panic she'd been living with. That's what happens when you interrupt the loop. Your body is keeping score, and it's time to settle the debt. Now let me teach you the exact protocol. This isn't complicated. This isn't mystical. This is mechanical. This is science. This is a tool that works because it's wired into your nervous system. You're going to do this in 60 seconds. Set a timer if you want, but you don't need one once you practice a few times. The timing will become automatic. Here's the protocol. Stop whatever you're doing. Even if you're in the middle of something, stop. Close your eyes if it's safe to do so. If you're driving or in a situation where you can't close your eyes, just soften your gaze. Now bring your attention to your feet. Not your thoughts, not your worries, your feet. Feel them in your shoes or on the ground. Feel the contact. Just notice. Don't try to change anything. Just notice. Now move your attention up to your calves. Same thing. Feel them. Notice them. Don't judge yourself for having tension. Don't try to force relaxation. Just bring awareness. Awareness alone will start to release the tension. That's how the nervous system works. It loosens its grip when you pay attention to it.
Now, your hips. This is where a lot of people store massive amounts of tension and don't even realize it. Hips, lower back, pelvis area. Feel it all. Notice if you're clenching. Notice if there's tightness you didn't know was there. 5 seconds. Just notice. Now your belly, your stomach, your digestive area. A lot of people breathe shallowly into their chest, which keeps their nervous system in a state of alert. Notice if your belly is tight or if it's soft. Notice if you're breathing into it or if you're holding it in. Don't change it yet. Just notice. Now your chest, your heart, your lungs. This is where a lot of people store emotional tension, grief, fear, overwhelm. Feel your chest. Feel your heart.
Notice if there's tightness around your heart or if you're holding your breath. Notice if you're breathing shallowly or deeply. 5 seconds. Just notice. Now your shoulders. This is the big one. This is where stress lives. Most people are walking around with shoulders up around their ears and they don't even realize it. Feel your shoulders. Notice the weight of your arms hanging from your shoulders. Notice if they're scrunched up or if they're relaxed. Feel the difference between tension and release. 5 seconds of pure attention. Now your neck. Your throat. Notice if your neck is stiff or if it's loose. Notice if you're holding tension there. Some people hold all their stress in their neck. Notice what's true for you. And finally, your face. This is the critical one. Your jaw, your forehead, the space between your eyebrows. Most people are walking around with a clenched jaw and furrowed brow, and they have no idea. Feel your jaw. Is it clenched or is it relaxed? Is your tongue pressed against the roof of your mouth or is it sitting loose on the floor of your mouth? Feel your forehead. Are your eyebrows tense or relaxed? Feel the muscles around your eyes. 5 seconds. Just notice. Now, here's the second part. Now that you've scanned your entire body and brought awareness to the tension, you're going to release it. This is where the reset happens. Start with your feet. Consciously relax them. Let them be heavy. Let them sink. 5 seconds to release. Calves. Let them go soft. 5 seconds. Thighs. Release any grip you've been holding. 5 seconds. Hips. Let your hips become heavy. Let gravity pull you down into the ground. 5 seconds. Belly. Let your belly expand slightly. Let it be soft. If you're holding it in, let it go. 5 seconds. Chest. Release any tightness around your heart. Let your chest expand. Breathe into it. 5 seconds. Shoulders. This is the big one. Drop them down. Let them fall away from your ears. Feel the weight of your arms pulling them down. Consciously relax the muscles. 5 seconds. Neck. Let it be loose. Let the tension melt. 5 seconds. Face. Unclench your jaw. Let it hang loose. Relax your forehead. Let your eyebrows come down. Soften the space around your eyes. 5 seconds. Now open your eyes slowly. Notice the shift. You should feel noticeably different, more grounded, less scattered. Your mind should be quieter, clearer. That's the reset. The entire process takes about 60 seconds. Scan, release, recalibrate, repeat. I want you to understand why this works. When you bring your attention to a part of your body and consciously release the tension, you're sending a signal to your nervous system. You're telling it, we are safe. There is no threat. You can relax. And your nervous system responds immediately, not gradually, immediately. That's the power of the body scan. And here's what makes it different from other tools. Journaling is powerful, but it takes time. You can't journal in the middle of a presentation. Affirmations can help, but they're mental. They don't address the physical feedback loop that's keeping you stuck. Breathing exercises are useful, but they're abstract. You're thinking about breathing instead of directly addressing the tension that's causing the problem in the first place. The body scan is different. It's direct. It's physical. It's instantaneous. It goes straight to the source of the problem, which is stored tension in your body, and it works whether you believe in it or not. The science doesn't care about your belief. Your nervous system doesn't care about your skepticism. It responds to the reset because the reset is wired into your neurology. Let me give you another example. I worked with a goal chaser. Smart woman, ambitious, but before big presentations, she'd get the jitters, massive anxiety, shaking hands, racing heart. She'd try to psych herself up, try to think positively. Nothing worked. The anxiety would just grow until she was white-knuckling through the presentation. Then she learned the body scan reset. The night before a big presentation, she did the reset. The morning of, she did it again. Right before she walked on stage, she did it one more time. 60 seconds. Scan, release, recalibrate, repeat. And something shifted. The jitters didn't disappear completely, but they became manageable. The nervous energy became focused energy. Her hands were steady, her voice was clear, and the presentation went 10 times better than it would have otherwise. Because clarity lives in the body, not the mind. Your mind is just responding to signals your body is sending. If your body is sending threat signals, your mind will produce anxiety. If your body is sending safety signals, your mind will produce clarity.
The body scan resets those signals. It tells your body, we are safe, we are resourced, we can think clearly now. Here's what I want you to do right now. Not tomorrow, not when you have more time, right now. Find a quiet place for 60 seconds and do the body scan reset. Feel your body. Notice the tension. Release it. Feel the shift. That's your first weapon. That's your first tool for reclaiming your attention and your mental clarity. And here's the thing. This isn't a one-time thing. You don't do it once and you're fixed forever. This is a practice. You do it daily. You do it whenever you notice that you're tense or scattered or anxious. You do it in the morning before your day starts. You do it before important conversations. You do it before presentations. You do it in the evening to process the day. Scan, release, recalibrate, repeat. The more you do it, the faster it works. The more you do it, the more your nervous system learns that it can relax. The more you do it, the less time you'll spend in a state of tension and anxiety, and the more time you'll spend in a state of clarity and resourcefulness. Your body is keeping score, and now you have the tool to settle the debt. The body scan reset is your foundation. It's the first weapon in your arsenal, but it's not the only weapon, and it works even better when you combine it with the next tool. You're ready now. You have a reset that works. You have a tool that delivers. Now, let's add precision to that tool. Now, let's talk about breathing. Chapter 3 is where you learn the portable victory that works anywhere, anytime, no exceptions.
Chapter 3. Mindful Breathing Anchor. The portable victory you can use anywhere. Your breath is the remote control. Listen to me. Your breath is the remote control for your entire nervous system. And most people have never grabbed that remote. Most people have let their nervous system run on autopilot. Most people are breathing in a way that keeps them in a constant state of low-grade threat, and they wonder why they're anxious. They wonder why they can't sleep. They wonder why they're reactive. Here's the physiology. When you breathe shallow and fast, you signal to your nervous system that there's a threat. That shallow breathing pattern activates your sympathetic nervous system. That's your fight or flight response. That's the system that was designed to help you run from a tiger. It floods your body with cortisol and adrenaline. It elevates your heart rate. It narrows your attention. It prepares you for danger. And most people are breathing like there's a tiger chasing them all day long. When you breathe deeply and slowly, you signal the opposite. You signal safety. You increase carbon dioxide in your bloodstream. Carbon dioxide is a signal to your nervous system that says, we are safe, we are resourced, we don't need to be on high alert. This activates your parasympathetic nervous system. That's your rest and digest system. That's the system that slows your heart rate, relaxes your muscles, clears your mind, and allows you to think and decide and create. The nervous system responds to breath pattern faster than it responds to thought. Let me say that again. The nervous system responds to breath pattern faster than it responds to thought. You can think positive thoughts all day long, and your nervous system won't care if you're still breathing like you're in danger. But change your breath pattern, and your nervous system responds immediately. A racing pulse cannot stay racing if you are breathing deeply and slowly. It's physically impossible. The mathematics of it don't work. Your heart rate will follow your breath pattern. Your nervous system will follow your breath pattern. Your mental clarity will follow your breath pattern. I worked with a parent, single mother. Her child got very sick. Hospital situation, serious. And in the middle of it, she had to make critical medical decisions. Should they do this treatment? Should they pursue that option? She was terrified. Her mind was spinning. She felt like she was drowning. But she knew one thing. She knew that if she stayed in that panicked state, she would make a terrible decision. So right before each conversation with the doctors, right before each decision point, she used her breath. She breathed in deeply for a count of 4, held it for 7. She breathed out slowly for 8. She did this 3 to 5 times. 5 minutes of intentional breathing before each major decision, and it changed everything. Her clarity came back. Her thinking became sharp. She was able to listen to the doctors. She was able to ask good questions. She was able to make decisions from a place of resourcefulness instead of fear. And her child recovered.
That's not a coincidence. That's the power of the breathing anchor. That's what happens when you take control of your breath and signal safety to your nervous system. Now let me teach you the exact protocol. This is called the 4-7-8 breathing anchor, and it's one of the most powerful tools you can use to recalibrate your nervous system in seconds. Here's how it works. You're going to inhale for a count of 4, hold for a count of 7, exhale for a count of 8. You're going to do this cycle 3 to 5 times. That's it. That's the entire protocol. But there's science behind these specific numbers. The inhale of 4 gets oxygen into your system. The hold of 7 allows the carbon dioxide to build up in your bloodstream. And the exhale of 8 is the critical part. The longer exhale triggers your parasympathetic nervous system. It sends a signal to your vagus nerve, which is the main highway between your brain and your body. The signal is simple. We are safe now. We can relax. Let me walk you through it. Find a position where you're comfortable. You can sit, you can stand, you can lie down. Doesn't matter. Just be in a position where your chest can expand. Now I want you to breathe in slowly and deeply through your nose for a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Feel your belly expand. Feel your chest expand. Feel the oxygen coming in. Now hold that breath for a count of 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Don't strain, just hold. Feel the carbon dioxide building in your bloodstream. Feel the signal being sent to your nervous system. Now exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Make the exhale longer than the inhale. Really let it out. Feel yourself relaxing. Feel the tension leaving your body. That's one cycle. Now do it again. Inhale 4, hold 7, exhale 8. Cycle 2. Repeat. Cycle 3. After 3 to 5 cycles, you'll notice the shift. Your heart rate will have slowed. Your mind will be clearer. The anxiety or urgency or scattered feeling that was there before will have reduced. You've just sent a safety signal to your entire nervous system in less than 2 minutes. I worked with a health-challenged individual, someone dealing with chronic pain. And when flare-ups would happen, she'd go into panic. Pain flare equals threat, equals spiraling anxiety. The anxiety would make the pain worse. The pain would make the anxiety worse. Another feedback loop. But when she learned the 4-7-8 breathing, something changed. When a pain flare would hit, she'd immediately do the breathing anchor. 4 in, 7 hold, 8 out. 3 to 5 times. And she'd regain agency over her nervous system. The pain was still there, nothing magical happened, but her mind was no longer catastrophizing about it. Her nervous system was no longer in full panic. She was able to think. She was able to decide what to do next instead of just reacting. Because this is the key. This isn't relaxation. This isn't meditation. This is neurological recalibration. You're literally changing the state of your nervous system using your breath. You're taking an active decision to signal safety to your body, and your body responds. Now here's where the breathing anchor gets really powerful. Unlike the body scan reset, which requires you to stop and close your eyes for 60 seconds, the breathing anchor works anywhere. You can do this in traffic. You can do this at work. You can do this in the middle of a difficult conversation. You can do this before you walk into a room where you feel anxious. You can do this when you're lying in bed, unable to sleep. You can do this on a plane. You can do this in a bathroom stall if you need to. You can do this anywhere. 4 in, 7 hold, 8 out. Nobody even has to know you're doing it. You can keep your eyes open. You can be standing or sitting. You can be in the middle of your day, and you can recalibrate your nervous system in 90 seconds or less.
That's what I mean by a portable victory. It's a tool you have with you at all times. You never leave it behind. You never don't have access to it. Your breath is always with you. And here's what's important to understand. The more you use this tool, the faster it works. This is neuroplasticity. The more you practice the 4-7-8 breathing, the more your nervous system learns what you're asking it to do.
After a week of consistent practice, it takes one cycle to shift your state. After 2 weeks, you'll notice that your anxiety triggers are less intense to begin with. After a month, your baseline will have shifted. You won't be starting from such a dysregulated place. I had someone tell me that after practicing the 4-7-8 breathing for 2 weeks, she went to a social event that would normally trigger severe anxiety, and she realized halfway through the event that the anxiety that would have completely derailed her before was barely a whisper. It was still there, but it was manageable. She wasn't white-knuckling through the event. She wasn't hiding in the bathroom. She was actually present and enjoying herself. Because repetition changes the baseline. Repetition rewires the nervous system, and the more you practice, the less you need to practice to get results. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to commit to using the 4-7-8 breathing anchor 3 times a day for the next 2 weeks. Morning, midday, evening. 3 cycles each time. That's it, less than 5 minutes total per day. And I want you to notice what happens. You'll notice your sleep improves. You'll notice your anxiety is less reactive. You'll notice that stressful situations don't escalate as fast. You'll notice that you can think more clearly. You'll notice that your decision-making improves. You'll notice that people around you start treating you differently because you're coming from a more resourced, calm place. That's the power of consistency. That's the power of a tool you actually use. And here's the beautiful thing. The body scan reset and the 4-7-8 breathing anchor work together. They're not competing tools, they're complementary. The body scan reset gives you physical awareness and releases stored tension. The breathing anchor gives you immediate nervous system regulation. Use them together and you have a 1-2 punch that's unstoppable. Do the body scan reset in the morning to start your day resourced. Do the breathing anchor 3 times throughout the day to maintain that resourced state. Do the body scan reset in the evening to process the day. Do the breathing anchor before bed to prepare your nervous system for sleep. 4 in, 7 hold, 8 out. Control your state. Own your life. Anywhere, anytime, you own your breath. You own your state. That's not hyperbole. That's not motivational speaking. That's neurology. Your breath controls your nervous system. Your nervous system controls your state. Your state controls your decisions. Your decisions control your life. So when you're anxious, remember, your breath is the remote control. You don't have to stay in that anxious state. You have the tool right now, in this moment. You can shift. You can recalibrate. You can take back control. Now you have 2 weapons, the body scan reset for deep clearing, the breathing anchor for quick recalibration, and they work together. They work fast, they work anywhere. But there's a 3rd weapon, and this one is different. This one is about awareness itself. This one is about noticing the patterns that have been running your life on autopilot. Chapter 4 is where you learn the skill that separates people who transform from people who stay stuck. It's called distraction noticing, and it's about to change everything. 645, Chapter 4, Distraction Noticing Drills, the skill that separates winners from drifters. You can't change what you don't notice. Write that down, tattoo it on your brain. You can't change what you don't notice. This is the difference between people who transform their lives and people who stay stuck. It's not intelligence, it's not genetics, it's not luck. It's awareness. It's the ability to notice patterns that are running on autopilot. It's the ability to see the distractions that are hijacking your attention and preventing you from accomplishing anything that matters. Most people blame willpower. They think they lack discipline. They think they're weak. They think they need to try harder. Wrong. The problem isn't willpower. The problem is that they're not noticing the distractions in the first place. They're operating on autopilot. A notification pops up and they check it without conscious decision. A thought pops into their head and they follow it without question. An urge arises and they act on it without awareness. And the distractions aren't accidents, they're engineered. Your phone is designed to be addictive. The notification sound is engineered to grab your attention. The red badge on your apps is engineered to trigger anxiety and urgency. Social media is algorithmically designed to keep you scrolling. Your own mind has been conditioned to generate intrusive thoughts and worries. People-pleasing impulses have been conditioned into you since childhood. Every single distraction you face is intentional. It's designed to pull your attention away from what matters.
I worked with a goal chaser, smart woman, ambitious. She wanted to build her business. She knew what she needed to do. She had the plan, but she couldn't focus long enough to execute it. So she tracked her day. And you know what she found? She checked email 47 times in 8 hours. 47. Not because she needed to, not because it was urgent, because she was distracted, because her attention kept getting pulled away. Now here's the thing, she didn't blame herself for lacking discipline, she noticed the pattern, and that awareness changed everything. She didn't need to develop more willpower, she needed to notice the impulse to check email and recognize it for what it was, a distraction, not a priority, not an emergency, a distraction. Once she could see the pattern, she could change it. She set specific times to check email, morning, midday, evening. Outside of those times, she didn't look. And instead of checking 47 times a day, she was checking 3 times a day. And in those 8 hours, instead of accomplishing nothing, she accomplished more than she had in the previous month. That's the power of awareness. That's what happens when you stop being on autopilot and start noticing. Now let me teach you the tool. This is called the spot and label technique, and it's the most powerful awareness drill you can practice. Here's how it works. A distraction arises, a notification, an intrusive thought, an urge to check social media, an urge to eat something, a worry about the future. Something that pulls your attention away from what you're supposed to be doing, and instead of automatically following it, you pause, you notice it, and you label it.
You say to yourself, that's a distraction, not mine right now. That's it. That's the entire technique. Notice, label, release, return to your goal. The key is in the labeling. When you label something as a distraction, you create psychological distance between you and the urge. You're not suppressing it. You're not trying to force it away. You're just observing it. You're saying, that's a thought. That's an urge. That's a distraction. I notice it, and I'm choosing not to act on it right now. This creates what psychologists call psychological flexibility. It's the opposite of being rigidly attached to every thought and urge that pops into your head. Let me give you an example. Someone pursuing a health goal gets an urge to stress eat. They're having a difficult day, something didn't go well, and suddenly there's a strong urge to go to the kitchen and eat comfort food. Now, most people follow that urge automatically. They don't even think about it. They're just suddenly eating without having made a conscious decision. But someone using the spot and label technique notices it. The urge comes up, and they pause. They notice the urge. They notice the emotion underneath it, anxiety, disappointment, stress, and they label it, that's anxiety talking. That's not hunger. That's an urge to numb out. That's a distraction from what I'm actually dealing with. And here's what happens. The urge passes. In 10 seconds, maybe 20, just a passing thought, just a wave that comes and goes, and they return to what they were doing. No willpower required, no suffering, no resistance, just awareness, just noticing, just labeling. That's the technique. Notice, label, release, return to your goal. Now here's why this matters. Every single time you notice a distraction, instead of automatically following it, you strengthen your prefrontal cortex. That's the part of your brain responsible for executive function, for focus, for decision-making, for willpower. Every time you notice instead of react, you're literally rewiring your brain. You're strengthening the muscle that separates you from people who accomplish things and people who don't. This is neuroplasticity in action. Repetition rewires the brain. And the more you practice noticing distractions, the stronger your prefrontal cortex becomes, the stronger your ability to focus becomes, the weaker the distractions become. After 1 week of consistent practice, distractions still feel strong. You're still noticing them, and they're still tempting, but you're practicing, you're building awareness, you're strengthening the muscle. After 2 weeks, something shifts. The distractions are less compelling. They're easier to notice and release. The urge to check your phone is still there, but it's not as urgent. After 3 weeks, after 21 days of consistent practice, something fundamental changes. Distractions lose their power, not because they disappear, but because you're no longer unconsciously following them. You're conscious, you're aware, you're choosing. I worked with someone who had a major junk food addiction, and I mean serious. She would go through entire days in a fog of eating without conscious awareness. She'd sit down to work and suddenly realize she'd eaten a bag of chips without tasting them, without even knowing she was eating. And she tried everything. She tried willpower. She tried restricting herself. She tried telling herself she couldn't have those foods. And it never worked because she was trying to use willpower against an autopilot behavior. Then she learned the spot and label technique. When the urge would come up, she'd notice it. She'd label it. That's a craving. That's stress. That's boredom, not hunger. And she'd watch the urge, just watch it, without acting on it, without resisting it, just observing. And after 3 weeks of consistent practice, she reported something remarkable. The temptations that used to derail entire days now felt like passing thoughts. She'd have the urge, she'd notice it, she'd label it, and it would dissolve in seconds. No struggle, no willpower, just awareness. And here's the beautiful thing. She didn't just change her eating habits. She started using the same technique for every distraction in her life. Work distractions, relationship triggers, self-doubt thoughts, people-pleasing impulses. Every time something tried to pull her off course, she'd notice it, label it, release it, and return to what mattered. That's what I mean by small awareness wins create unstoppable momentum. One distraction noticed, one choice to return to what matters, then another, and suddenly you're not getting derailed anymore. Suddenly you're making progress. Suddenly you're accomplishing the things you said you would accomplish. Now here's what I want you to understand. Awareness isn't enough. You need drills. You need to practice. You need to actually use this technique consistently. Not when you remember, not when you feel like it, consistently. The reason most people fail at changing their behavior is because they have the awareness, but they don't do the drills. They learn the technique and they think, okay, I get it, now I'll just do it. And then they go back to their life and forget to practice. And a week later, they're right back where they started. But if you commit to the drills, if you commit to noticing and labeling every distraction for the next 21 days, if you actually practice, if you actually use the tool, everything changes. Here's what I want you to do. For the next week, I want you to be a scientist. I want you to observe your distractions without judgment. Every time a distraction arises, I want you to notice it and label it. You don't even have to resist it yet. Just notice. Write it down if you want, but notice. A notification pops up. Notice it. Label it. That's a distraction. A worry pops into your head. Notice it. Label it. That's anxiety. That's a thought, not mine right now. An urge to check social media. Notice it. Label it. That's a distraction. An urge to eat something. Notice it. Label it. That's a craving, not hunger. Just observe. Just label. Just notice. After 1 week of observation, you'll start to see patterns. You'll see what your most common distractions are. You'll see what triggers them. You'll see the times of day when you're most vulnerable. That awareness alone will shift something. Then in week 2, start to actually resist. When you notice a distraction, label it, and then consciously choose not to follow it. Feel the urge, acknowledge it, and return to what you were doing. By week 3, you'll start to see the shift. The distractions will lose power. Your ability to focus will improve. Your goal progress will accelerate. Practice wins. Consistent practice beats intelligence. Consistent practice beats willpower. Consistent practice beats talent. Consistent practice beats luck.
Because here's the secret. The people who accomplish big things aren't smarter than you. They're not more talented than you. They're not more lucky than you. They're just better at noticing distractions and not following them. They're just better at keeping their attention on what matters. And that's a skill. It's a skill that can be learned. It's a skill that can be practiced. It's a skill that compounds over time. Small awareness wins create unstoppable momentum. One distraction noticed, one choice to stay focused, then another, and you're building momentum. You're making progress. You're becoming someone who accomplishes things. Now you have 3 weapons: the body scan reset, the breathing anchor, and the distraction noticing drills. You have physical awareness, you have nervous system regulation, and you have attention mastery. These 3 tools working together create a foundation that's nearly unstoppable. But there's something underneath all of this. There's something that most people never address. There are battles you're fighting that you don't even know you're fighting. There are wars happening inside you that are sabotaging everything you're trying to accomplish. And until you become aware of those hidden wars, until you shine a light on them, you'll keep losing. Chapter 5 is where we talk about the hidden wars. It's where we uncover what's really going on beneath the surface. Chapter 6, Quantum Shifts, when small changes create exponential results. Summary: what makes a shift quantum? In physics, quantum shifts are instantaneous and nonlinear. Applied to mindfulness, small changes in attention can create disproportionately large life changes because attention determines perception and perception determines behavior. Real-world example, a person shifts from "I'm broken" to "I'm learning." Same situation, different attention, completely different life outcomes. Repetitive phrase, the smallest shift in focus creates the largest shift in life. The compounding effect. One body scan reset leads to better sleep. Better sleep leads to clearer thinking. Clearer thinking leads to better decisions. Better decisions lead to better results. Better results reinforce the practice. Real-world example, someone starts with one 60-second reset per day, and after 30 days, they've made 3 major life changes: a new job, ended a toxic relationship, started a health routine, because their mind was finally clear enough to see what needed changing. Repetitive phrase, small daily practice compounds into radical life transformation. The timing factor. Quantum shifts don't announce themselves. You wake up one day and realize you're thinking differently, feeling differently, acting differently. Real-world example, a goal chaser can't pinpoint exactly when she stops self-sabotaging, but she knows the resets were the catalyst. End with, you're not just learning tools, you're rewiring your nervous system. Repetitive phrase, consistency is the accelerant of transformation. Chapter 5, The Hidden War. Why you're losing battles you don't even know you're fighting. You can't win a war you don't acknowledge. Listen to me. You can't win a war you don't acknowledge. And right now, you're fighting 3 wars. 3 massive battles that are draining your energy, sabotaging your goals, and destroying your health. And most of you don't even know the wars are happening. The first war is with your body. You're ignoring it. Every single day, your body is sending you signals, pain signals, fatigue signals, hunger signals, thirst signals, tension signals, and you're ignoring them. You're pushing through, you're powering through, you're numbing out. Your body is screaming at you, and you're pretending you can't hear it. And here's what happens when you ignore your body's signals for long enough. Your nervous system goes haywire, your mental clarity tanks, your immune system weakens, your emotional regulation falls apart. You can't think straight because your body is in constant distress, and your brain is trying to figure out why. I worked with a high achiever, brilliant woman, built a successful company, making great money. Everything looked good from the outside, but she was exhausted, chronically fatigued. She'd wake up tired, she'd drag through the day, she'd collapse at night, and she blamed herself for lacking energy. She thought maybe she was depressed, maybe she needed to work out more, maybe she was just lazy. So she hired trainers, she pushed harder, she tried to force more energy through sheer willpower, and it made everything worse because the problem wasn't laziness. The problem was that she was ignoring her body's signals. She was sleeping 5 hours a night, she was skipping meals, she was running on coffee and adrenaline. Her body was in a state of chronic stress, and she was treating the symptoms instead of addressing the cause. When she finally stopped and listened to her body, when she started getting 8 hours of sleep, when she started eating regular meals, when she started taking rest seriously instead of treating it as a failure, everything changed. Her energy returned, her mental clarity returned, her emotional stability returned. Her productivity actually increased because she was finally resourced instead of running on fumes. That's war number 1, war with your body. And most of you are losing it without even knowing you're in it. The second war is with your past. You're replaying failures. You're seeking redemption for things you can't change. You're stuck in what-if loops. Should've, could've, would've. If I'd only done it differently. If I'd only made different choices. If I'd been smarter or faster or better. Your mind is a time machine that keeps taking you backward. And every time you go backward, you're not present. You're not available for your life right now. You're trapped in a story about who you were or what you did or what you failed to do.
I worked with a goal chaser, guy who wanted to build a business, had the skills, had the drive, but he couldn't commit. He kept starting projects and abandoning them, and finally he realized why. He'd tried to build a business before, and it failed, and he couldn't let it go. He was replaying that failure over and over. He was trying to redeem himself. He was trying to prove that the failure didn't define him, and that effort to prove something was paralyzing him. Until he realized, the failure doesn't define you, but staying stuck in it does. The war isn't with the failure. The war is with your resistance to the failure. The war is with your refusal to accept that you tried something and it didn't work out. And that's okay. That's part of being human. That's part of growing. When he finally stopped fighting with his past and accepted it, something shifted. He could move forward. He could try again without the weight of redemption on his shoulders. He could just build.
That's war number 2. War with your past. And most of you are losing it because you're still fighting something that's already over. The third war is with your social mirrors. You're comparing yourself to others. You're seeking external validation. You're losing your own voice. You're becoming who other people think you should be instead of who you actually are. Social media made this worse, so much worse. You're constantly seeing other people's highlight reels, other people's wins, other people's bodies, other people's lives, and you're comparing your messy reality to their polished fiction, and you're coming up short every single time. And so you try to become like them. You try to look like them. You try to achieve what they achieved. You try to be who they are. And in the process, you lose yourself. You lose your own voice. You lose your own direction. You become a copy of someone else instead of the original of yourself. I worked with someone who spent years trying to become her mother. High achiever, successful, accomplished, and she thought if she could just be like her mother, she'd be happy, she'd be worthy, she'd finally be enough. So she pursued the same career, she lived in the same city, she made similar choices, and she was miserable, completely miserable, until she realized she wasn't her mother. And she didn't want to be her mother's version of success. She wanted her own version. She wanted her own path. And the moment she gave herself permission to stop mirroring and start being herself, everything changed. Not just her happiness, her actual success, her actual accomplishment, her actual life improved because she was finally pursuing something that was actually hers. That's war number 3, war with your social mirrors. And most of you are losing it because you're trying to win someone else's game instead of creating your own. Now, here's the thing. These 3 wars don't exist in isolation. They compound. They feed each other. They create a cascade of failure. Someone ignoring their body signals. War 1. Not sleeping, not eating well, running on stress. Their nervous system is dysregulated, so they become emotionally reactive. Every little thing sets them off. They're short with people, they're irritable, they're anxious. And now they're amplifying war 2. The past trauma that they were managing suddenly becomes overwhelming. Old failures feel more relevant. Regret becomes louder. And because they're emotionally reactive and struggling, they start seeking external validation to feel better. They compare themselves to others who look like they have it together. They try to become someone else. War 3. And now, all 3 wars are active simultaneously, and they're exhausted, and they don't understand why they can't get their life together. This is what I mean when I say staying asleep costs you everything. Not just a little bit. Everything. Your health deteriorates, your goals fail, your relationships suffer, your identity becomes confused, your sense of self dissolves. You become a victim of circumstances instead of a creator of your life. But here's the good news. The tools you've already learned, the body scan reset, the breathing anchor, the distraction noticing drills. These aren't just productivity tools. These are weapons in your hidden wars. These are awareness tools that bring light to what you've been ignoring. The body scan reset forces you to reconnect with your body,
to listen to its signals, to feel what's actually happening in your physical form instead of ignoring it. Every time you do the body scan, you're winning war number 1. You're saying to your body, I hear you, I see you, I'm listening now. The breathing anchor regulates your nervous system so you can process emotion, so you can metabolize the past instead of staying stuck in it, so you can grieve failures instead of being defined by them. Every time you do the breathing anchor, you're winning war number 2. You're regulating the nervous system enough to process and release what you've been carrying. The distraction noticing drills train your attention. They teach you to notice what's actually yours and what's not. They teach you to distinguish between your own voice and the voices of others. Every time you notice a distraction and label it, you're strengthening your ability to recognize what's truly important to you versus what other people think should be important to you. Every time you use the distraction drills, you're winning war number 3. You're reclaiming your voice. I worked with someone who was struggling on every front. Health was deteriorating, business was stalled, relationships were suffering. She felt like a failure, like she'd never be enough, like she was broken. So we started with the basics. Body scan reset every morning, just reconnecting with her body, listening to what it was telling her. And she realized she was exhausted, genuinely exhausted, not lazy, not broken, exhausted, because she'd been ignoring her body's signals for years. Then we added the breathing anchor 3 times a day, and as her nervous system regulated, something else became possible. She could feel her emotions without being overwhelmed by them. She could process the grief of past failures. She could grieve the time she'd spent pursuing someone else's version of success instead of her own. Then we added the distraction noticing drills, and she started to notice where she'd been seeking external validation, where she'd been comparing herself to others, where she'd lost her voice. And she started to consciously choose to return to her own priorities, her own goals, her own definition of success. After 8 weeks, she'd made 3 major life changes. She'd restructured her sleep schedule. She'd ended a friendship that had been draining her and validating her belief that she wasn't enough. She'd pivoted her business towards something that actually aligned with her values instead of what she thought would impress people. And you know what? Her health improved, her energy improved, her business results improved, her relationships improved, because she was finally winning the hidden wars, all 3 of them simultaneously. Awareness is the first victory. That's when you finally see the wars that have been running in the background. Repetition is the second. That's when you use your tools consistently. That's when you strengthen the neural pathways that allow you to stay aware. That's when the wins compound. You can't change what you don't notice, but once you notice, once you become aware of the hidden wars, you can win them. You can reconnect with your body. You can process your past. You can reclaim your voice. You can stop being a victim of circumstances and become the creator of your life. The 3 wars are real, but they're not unwinnable. In fact, with the tools you now have, they're eminently winnable. But only if you commit to the practice, only if you use these tools consistently, only if you stay aware.
Now you understand the game that's been running beneath the surface. You understand what you've actually been fighting. But there's something else happening that most people completely miss. There's a dimension to transformation that most people don't understand. It's what separates people who make incremental changes from people who achieve exponential results. Chapter 6 is where we talk about quantum shifts. It's where we talk about how small changes create massive results. Chapter 7, Winning Health Battles, when your mind controls your healing. Your mind is either healing your body or harming it. Choose. That's not poetic language. That's not motivational speaking. That's neurology. That's biology. That's how your nervous system actually works. Most people fighting health battles don't understand this. They think their body is the problem. They think their body is broken. They think their body is betraying them. And they fight their body. They resist their body. They try to force their body to do what they want it to do. And the whole time, their nervous system is in a state of dysregulation that's making the health problem worse. Chronic illness, autoimmune conditions, pain disorders, mental health challenges, all of them are exacerbated by a dysregulated nervous system.
When your nervous system is in a state of constant threat, your body responds by ramping up inflammation, by producing more stress hormones, by activating pain pathways, by suppressing immune function, by sabotaging healing. Stress doesn't just make you feel bad. Stress literally changes the biochemistry of your body. Stress activates your sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight. And when your nervous system is in fight or flight mode, your body isn't focused on healing. Your body is focused on survival. Your body is focused on dealing with the perceived threat. So if you're chronically stressed about your health condition, your body is going to get worse, not better. Not because your condition is getting worse, but because your nervous system is making it worse. I worked with someone who had chronic migraines, debilitating migraines, missing work, missing life. She went to neurologists, got imaging, got medication. Nothing worked. The migraines just kept coming, and she was stressed about the migraines, which made the migraines worse, which made her more stressed. Another feedback loop. So she tracked her migraines for a month, and she realized something interesting. 70% of her migraines came right after stressful situations: work stress, relationship conflict, financial worry. Her nervous system would get activated, her muscles would tense up, her breathing would become shallow, and 12 to 24 hours later, a migraine would hit. The migraines weren't coming out of nowhere. Her nervous system was triggering them. Her stress response was creating the migraine. So she learned the body scan reset and the breathing anchor. She started using these tools immediately when she felt stressed. She'd notice the stress response starting, and she'd do a 60-second reset. She'd scan her body. She'd release the tension. She'd recalibrate her nervous system. And something remarkable happened. The migraines decreased significantly. Within 8 weeks, she'd gone from having migraines 3 times a week to having them maybe once a week, a 50% reduction. Not because her underlying condition changed, but because she regulated her nervous system, because she interrupted the stress feedback loop, because her mind stopped harming her body and started healing it. That's what I mean when I say your mind is either healing your body or harming it. You have more power over your health than you probably realize. Now here's what's important to understand. Most people fighting health battles adopt one of 2 mindsets, and both of them are wrong. The first is the victim mindset. My body is betraying me. My body is broken. My body is the enemy. This mindset leads to disconnection. You fight your body. You resist your body. You try to force it to do what you want, and your body fights back harder because it's in a state of threat. The second is the warrior mindset. I'm fighting this disease. I'm going to beat this condition. I'm going to conquer this illness. This mindset leads to aggression. You approach your health problem like a battle. You attack it. You try to dominate it. And while aggression can sometimes help, it can also prevent you from listening to what your body actually needs. But there's a third option, and most people never discover it. The partnership mindset. I'm listening to my body. I'm working with my body. I'm co-creating healing with my body. This mindset comes from a place of respect. Your body isn't your enemy. Your body isn't broken. Your body is doing the best it can with the resources it has. Your body is sending you messages. Pain is a message. Fatigue is a message. Flare-ups are messages. And if you can learn to listen to those messages instead of fighting them, something shifts. I worked with a cancer survivor. She'd gone through treatment. It was brutal. And during treatment, she was in constant fight mode. Fight the cancer, fight the side effects, fight the fear. Her nervous system was in permanent activation. After treatment, she still had pain, nerve pain from the chemotherapy, and she was still fighting, still in warrior mode, still trying to dominate the pain, and it wasn't working. The pain was persistent. The tension was persistent. Her nervous system was still activated even though the threat was gone. So she shifted. She learned the body scan reset, and instead of fighting her body, she started listening. She'd feel the nerve pain, and instead of resisting it, she'd bring awareness to it. She'd scan that area. She'd notice what the pain was telling her. Sometimes it was telling her she needed rest. Sometimes it was telling her she needed movement. Sometimes it was telling her she needed emotional processing. And when she started listening, when she started treating her body as a partner instead of an enemy, the healing accelerated. Not because the pain disappeared, but because she was working with her body instead of against it. She was responding to what her body needed instead of trying to force what she wanted. And the breathing anchor became her tool for emotional regulation. When she'd feel fear or grief or frustration, she'd use the 4-7-8 breathing to regulate her nervous system, to create safety, to signal to her body that healing was possible. Your body is not your enemy. Your body is not your problem. Your body is sending you messages. Listen. Now let me give you the practical applications, because understanding this intellectually isn't enough. You need to know how to use this when actual health struggles are happening. Scenario 1. You have a flare-up. Maybe it's pain. Maybe it's symptoms getting worse. Maybe it's something unexpected. Your immediate reaction is probably fear, panic. This is bad. This is getting worse. This is never going to get better.
And in that moment, your nervous system goes into threat mode, which makes the flare-up worse, which confirms your fear, which makes your nervous system more activated. You're in the loop. So here's what you do. The moment you notice the flare-up, you use the body scan reset. You pause. You bring awareness to your entire body. You notice where the tension is. You notice where you're gripping. You notice where you're resisting, and you release it. You signal to your nervous system, okay, this is uncomfortable, but we are safe right now. We can handle this. We don't need to be in full panic. Then you use the 4-7-8 breathing anchor. 4 in, 7 hold, 8 out. 3 to 5 cycles. You regulate your nervous system. You bring clarity back. And from a place of clarity instead of panic, you can think about what actually needs to happen next. Do you need to rest? Do you need to contact your doctor? Do you need to modify something? You can think clearly now. Scenario 2. You get a difficult test result. You get news that you weren't expecting, you weren't hoping for, and your mind goes dark. This is bad. This is worse than I thought. I'm never going to recover. Your nervous system floods with stress chemicals. Your body tenses. Your breathing becomes shallow. Everything feels worse. So you use the tools. Body scan reset. Breathing anchor. You regulate yourself. You bring yourself back to a place where you can actually think. And from that place, you can ask better questions. What does this result actually mean? What are the treatment options? What do I need to do? You can think clearly now. Scenario 3. You're adjusting medication or trying a new treatment or making a change to your health routine and you're anxious about it. What if it doesn't work? What if there are side effects? What if I made the wrong choice? Anxiety is eating you up. Your nervous system is in overdrive and you're second-guessing yourself constantly. Using the tools. You regulate your nervous system. You calm the anxiety enough to actually give the change time to work. You reduce the noise enough to assess the real effects instead of amplifying the fear. In every scenario, the tools do the same thing. They regulate your nervous system. They interrupt the stress response. They bring clarity. They allow you to respond instead of just react. And here's the key. This isn't about positive thinking. This isn't about manifesting. This isn't about mind over matter. This is about nervous system regulation. This is about physiology. Your mind doesn't cure disease, but your mind sure can accelerate healing by regulating the nervous system that either supports or sabotages healing. You have a migraine condition. Your nervous system dysregulation makes it worse. Regulate your nervous system and the migraines decrease. You have autoimmune disease. Chronic stress and nervous system activation amplify the immune dysregulation. Regulate your nervous system and the condition improves. You have chronic pain. Constant tension and nervous system activation lower your pain threshold. Regulate your nervous system and pain decreases. This isn't magic. This isn't wishful thinking. This is how your body actually works. I worked with someone who was in a health crisis, multiple conditions, multiple medications, multiple doctors, feeling hopeless, feeling like her body was completely broken. And we didn't try to fix the conditions. We worked on her nervous system. Body scan reset every morning. Breathing anchor 3 times a day. Distraction noticing drills to catch anxious thought patterns before they spiraled. And something happened. It didn't happen immediately, but over weeks, something shifted. Her anxiety decreased, her sleep improved, her pain decreased, her test results started to improve, and she realized the conditions were still there, but her relationship to the conditions had changed, and that relationship change was creating healing. Clarity plus calm plus consistency equals healing momentum. That's the formula. Clarity from the body scan reset, calm from the breathing anchor, consistency from daily practice, and the result is momentum, progress, healing. Your body wants to heal. Your body is designed to heal, but it can only heal from a place of nervous system regulation, from a place where it's not in constant threat, from a place where the system is resourced enough to focus on repair instead of survival. So the work isn't about fighting your health condition. The work is about regulating your nervous system. The work is about listening to your body. The work is about treating your body as a partner in healing instead of an enemy. Your mind is either healing your body or harming it, and you get to choose. Every single day, every single moment, you get to choose. Are you going to use these tools? Are you going to regulate your nervous system? Are you going to listen to your body? Or are you going to stay in dysregulation and let your nervous system sabotage your healing? The choice is yours, and the good news is that the tools are simple. The body scan reset, the breathing anchor. These aren't complicated. These aren't expensive. These aren't dependent on anyone else. You can do these right now. You can do these whenever you need them. You have everything you need to regulate your nervous system and accelerate your healing. Your body is not your enemy. Your mind is not your limitation. Your nervous system is not broken. It's just been conditioned to be in threat mode. And you can retrain it. You can recalibrate it. You can use it as a tool for healing instead of a mechanism of harm. Now you understand how to win health battles from the inside out. But there's another arena where this same principle applies. There's another arena where mental clarity and nervous system regulation create exponential results. Chapter 8 is about goal domination. It's about how mental clarity turns impossible into inevitable.
I worked with a startup founder. Smart woman, built products before, had experience, but her business was stalling. She wasn't making progress. She was working all the time, but nothing was moving forward. So we tracked her time for a week, and we discovered something striking. She was spending 60% of her focused work time on low-impact tasks and client requests, admin work, email, meetings, things that felt urgent but weren't actually moving the needle. And she was spending maybe 20% of her time on the actual high-leverage work that would actually grow the business, the work that required deep focus, the work that actually mattered. And the remaining 20% of her time was spent context switching, checking notifications, starting things and abandoning them halfway through, responding to interruptions. So she was literally only giving about 20% of her attention to the work that mattered, and then she wondered why the business wasn't growing. When she started using the distraction noticing drills, something shifted. She started to notice every time she was pulled toward a low-impact task instead of the high-leverage work. She'd feel the pull. She'd label it, "That's a distraction, not mine right now," and she'd return to the work that actually mattered. Within 2 weeks, she'd reclaimed 20 hours per week. 20 hours that had been going to low-impact activities and distraction, now going to high-leverage work. And her business results changed, not because she worked more, because she worked more deliberately, because she protected her attention. That's what I mean by your attention is your most valuable asset. It's more valuable than your education, more valuable than your network, more valuable than your experience, because attention determines what you accomplish. Now here's the system. This is the 3-phase goal method combined with quantum resets, and it's designed to take you from scattered and uncertain to clear and unstoppable. Phase 1 is pre-goal clarity. Most people skip this phase. They have a vague idea of what they want, and they just start chasing it, and then they get halfway there and realize they were chasing the wrong thing, or they reach the goal and realize it doesn't actually make them happy.
So before you commit to a goal, you need clarity, real clarity. And the way you get clarity is with the body scan reset. You clear the mental clutter, you regulate your nervous system, you create space for actual thought. Here's how it works. Find a quiet space. Do a full body scan reset. 60 seconds of pure awareness. You're clearing all the noise, all the mental chatter, all the should-dos and what-ifs, and everyone else's opinions. You're creating silence. And then from that place of silence, you ask yourself, what is my actual goal? Not what I think I should want, not what would impress people, not what I think is realistic. What is my actual goal? What do I actually want? I worked with someone pursuing a health goal, weight loss. She'd been trying to lose weight for years, and she kept failing, and she felt like a failure. But when she did the body scan reset and asked herself the real question, something shifted. The real goal wasn't weight loss. The real goal was vitality. She wanted to feel alive. She wanted to have energy. She wanted to feel strong in her body. Weight was just one dimension of that. And when she clarified that the goal was vitality, not weight loss, everything changed, because now she was thinking about different things. She wasn't thinking about restriction and deprivation. She was thinking about nourishment and strength. She wasn't thinking about punishment. She was thinking about care. And that shift in goal clarity changed the entire trajectory. So phase 1 is getting crystal clear on what your actual goal is, not the goal you think you should have, your actual goal. And the body scan reset is the tool that creates the mental clarity to discover that. Phase 2 is daily focus. Now that you have a clear goal, you need to protect your attention so you can actually work on it. And this is where the distraction noticing drills come in. Every single day, you're going to use the spot and label technique. When a distraction arises that pulls you away from your goal, you notice it and you label it. That's a distraction, not mine right now. And you return to the goal. The key metric here is 80% plus attention on the actual goal. Not 98%, not 100%. That's not realistic. Life happens. Interruptions happen. But 80% is achievable. 80% is enough to create real momentum. So you're tracking. How much of my actual work time am I spending on the high leverage stuff related to my goal? And you're using the distraction drills to keep that number above 80%. The startup founder went from 20% to 80% focus time, and in 3 months she'd accomplished more than she had in the previous year, not because she was working harder, because she was working focused. Phase 3 is momentum maintenance, and this is where most people fail. They start strong, they have clarity, they maintain focus, but then something hits, an obstacle, a setback, a moment of doubt, and their mental state collapses, and they abandon the goal. So phase 3 is about using the breathing anchor to maintain your mental state when obstacles hit, because obstacles will hit, guaranteed. The goal is real and important. Obstacles are part of the path. So when an obstacle hits, you use the 4-7-8 breathing. 4 in, 7 hold, 8 out. 3 to 5 times. You regulate your nervous system. You bring yourself back to clarity. You preserve your mental state. And from a regulated state, you can respond to the obstacle instead of just abandoning ship. Let me give you a concrete example. The health goal chaser pursuing vitality. Phase 1, she clarified that vitality was the real goal. Phase 2, she used distraction drills to focus 80% of her energy on high-leverage activities, eating well, moving her body, sleeping, the things that actually create vitality. And she was making progress. She was feeling better. She was getting stronger. Then she had a week where everything went wrong. Stress at work, sleep got disrupted. She made some poor eating choices. And she looked in the mirror and thought, this isn't working. I'm never going to change. That's the moment where most people quit. That's the moment where they abandon the goal and go back to old patterns. But instead, she used the breathing anchor. She regulated her nervous system. She brought clarity back. And from that place of clarity, she realized one bad week doesn't erase progress. One bad week is just a week, and the goal is still real and still worth pursuing. So she returned to the practices, she returned to the focus, and the obstacle became just a blip on the trajectory instead of a reason to quit.
That's phase 3, momentum maintenance, using the breathing anchor to preserve your mental state and keep moving forward. Clarity flows to focus, focus flows to consistency, consistency flows to inevitability. That's the formula. Clarity from phase 1, focus from phase 2, consistency from phase 3, and the result is inevitability. You don't hope the goal happens, you don't wonder if you'll achieve it. You know it's inevitable, because you've created the conditions, you've clarified what you actually want, you've protected your attention, you've maintained your mental state, and the goal is simply a matter of time now. And here's what the data shows. People who combine clear focus with mental regulation complete their goals 3 to 5 times faster than people who just willpower their way through. Not because they're smarter, not because they have more resources, but because they're protecting their attention and maintaining their mental state. I worked with someone who'd been trying to write a book for 5 years. 5 years. She'd start, she'd get distracted, she'd abandon it, she'd feel guilty about abandoning it, she'd start again, and the cycle would repeat. When she applied the 3-phase method, something shifted. Phase 1, she got crystal clear. The book wasn't about being a famous author. The book was about sharing her story. That was the real goal. Phase 2, she used distraction drills. She committed to 2 hours of focused writing per day, and she protected those 2 hours ferociously. Email off, phone off, distraction noticing active. She maintained 85% focus. Phase 3, when obstacles hit, she used the breathing anchor to maintain her mental state instead of spiraling into doubt. 6 months later, she had a finished manuscript. 5 years of stopping and starting. 6 months of clarity and focus. The difference wasn't her capability, the difference was her attention. Your goals don't fail, your attention fails. Master your mind and you master your goals. Now, here's what I want you to do. Pick one goal, just one, and apply the 3-phase method. Phase 1, do a body scan reset. Get clear. What is your actual goal? Not what you think you should want, your actual goal. Write it down. Be specific. Phase 2, commit to protecting your attention. 80% minimum focus on the high-leverage work related to your goal. Use the distraction drills. Notice every distraction. Label it. Return to the goal. Phase 3, identify the obstacles that might hit and commit to using the breathing anchor when they do. 4 in, 7 hold, 8 out. Maintain your mental state. Keep moving. And watch what happens. Watch how fast you move when your attention is protected. Watch how inevitable the goal becomes when your mind is clear and regulated. Because here's the truth. You're capable of so much more than you think. You're not limited by ability. You're limited by attention. You're not limited by intelligence. You're limited by focus. You're not limited by resources. You're limited by mental state. So protect your attention, maintain your focus, regulate your mind, and the goals that seem impossible right now will become inevitable. Master your mind, master your goals. Now you have the framework, but frameworks don't change lives. Practices change lives. Consistency changes lives. And that's what the next chapter is about. It's about building the ritual that makes all of this automatic. Chapter 9 is the daily practice. It's where the transformation actually happens.
Step 2. 4-7-8 breathing anchor. 3 cycles. That's 2 minutes. You're signaling safety to your nervous system. You're starting your day from a resourced state instead of a reactive state. Inhale 4, hold 7, exhale 8, 3 times. So you wake up, you spend 5 minutes rewiring your nervous system, and you start your day from a place of clarity and calm instead of reactivity and scramble. Most people start their day by checking email and getting immediately stressed. You're starting your day by regulating your nervous system. That's the difference. Then, midday ritual.
2 minutes, around lunchtime or whenever makes sense for your schedule. You do a quick distraction noticing drill. You pause, you notice what you've been doing for the last few hours. Are you on track? Are you distracted? Are you focused? You notice. You label any distractions, and if you're off track, you do a quick 60-second body scan reset to recalibrate. You're checking in, you're maintaining focus, you're preventing the day from getting derailed. Then, evening ritual, 3 minutes, before bed or right before you wind down. Body scan reset, 60 seconds. You're processing the day, you're releasing any tension you picked up, you're settling your nervous system. Then, 4-7-8 breathing, 2 cycles, that's 1 minute. You're preparing your body for sleep, you're signaling safety, you're signaling rest. Then, you do a final check-in, a distraction noticing drill, 60 seconds. You're reviewing the day, what worked, what didn't. Where did you get distracted? Where did you stay focused? No judgment, just noticing. So the full ritual is 5 minutes in the morning, 2 minutes midday, 3 minutes evening, 10 minutes total, less than 2% of your day. And in those 10 minutes, you're fundamentally rewiring your nervous system. I worked with someone who was skeptical. She had a lot going on. She didn't think she had time for this. But I asked her, how much time do you spend in anxiety? How much time do you spend stressed? How much time do you spend being reactive? Hours, probably, daily. And if 10 minutes a day eliminates that, isn't it worth it? She committed, not because she believed it would work, just because she was willing to try. 10 minutes a day for 30 days. That was the commitment. By day 7, she was sleeping better. Her mind was clearer in the morning. She was less reactive to small frustrations. By day 14, her family noticed. She was calmer. She was more present. She was easier to be around. By day 21, she said she couldn't imagine going back. The anxiety was lower, her focus was better, her relationships were better, her whole life felt different. And she'd only invested 2.5 hours per month, 2.5 hours for a transformed life. Now here's the critical piece. Tracking. You need a simple system to track your practice, not because you need to be perfect, but because you need to see the pattern. You need to see that you're actually doing it. Use a calendar, mark an X for every day you do the ritual, or use an app, or use a journal, just something simple and visible. The point is that you can see your streak. You can see that you did it yesterday and you can do it today. After 7 days, you have a week of consistency. After 14 days, you have 2 weeks. After 21 days, something shifts. The practice starts to feel automatic. You're not thinking about whether you should do it, you're just doing it. It's part of your morning, part of your day, part of your evening. After 66 days, something else shifts. The new neural pathways are solidified. The new patterns are now your default. You're not fighting against your old reactive patterns anymore. The new, calm, clear, regulated patterns are running on autopilot. I worked with someone who tracked her practice. She had a calendar on her wall. Every day she did the ritual, she marked it, and she had a simple rule: never break the chain, never skip a day. Not because she had to be perfect, but because the consistency was what did the rewiring. She had some days where she was traveling, some days where she was sick, some days where she was busy, and she still did the ritual. 5 minutes in the morning, sometimes 2 minutes midday, 3 minutes evening, never broke the chain. After 30 days, she had a solid month. After 60 days, 2 solid months. And by day 90, she was transformed. Not because she was special, not because she had some genetic advantage, but because she did the practice consistently. And at day 90, when I asked her if she wanted to keep going, she said something interesting. She said, "I can't imagine not doing this now. My nervous system gets uncomfortable if I skip the ritual. The tools have become my default." That's the power of consistency. That's what happens when you build the ritual. The tools become so integrated into your system that they're just part of who you are now. So here's what I want you to do. Starting tomorrow morning, you're going to commit to 10 minutes a day. Not 30 days, not 66 days, just the next 10 days. See what happens in 10 days. See if you feel different. See if your sleep is better. See if your focus is sharper. See if your emotional reactivity is lower. Because I promise you, you will notice a difference in 10 days. Not because of magic, because of neuroscience. 10 consecutive days of nervous system regulation will create noticeable shifts. Then, after 10 days, you'll know it works, and you'll be willing to commit to 30, then 60, then 90. But start with 10. Just show up for 10 days. Here's the exact ritual to start with tomorrow morning. Wake up. Don't check your phone. Find a quiet spot. Close your eyes if you can. Bring your attention to your feet. Scan your entire body. Feel the tension. Notice where you're gripping. Release. 60 seconds. Feet to face. Then breathe. Inhale for 4. Hold for 7. Exhale for 8. Do this 3 times. Feel your nervous system shift. That's it. 5 minutes. That's how you start your day. Midday, around lunch, pause for 2 minutes. Notice what you've been doing. Notice if you're on track or distracted. If you're distracted, do a quick body scan reset. If you're on track, just acknowledge it. 2 minutes. That's it. Evening, before bed, body scan reset. 60 seconds. Release the day. Then 4-7-8 breathing. 2 cycles. That's 1 minute. You're preparing your body for sleep. You're signaling safety. You're signaling rest. Then you do a final check-in. A distraction noticing drill, 60 seconds. You're reviewing the day. What worked? What didn't? Where did you get distracted? Where did you stay focused? No judgment, just noticing. So the full ritual is 5 minutes in the morning, 2 minutes midday, 3 minutes evening, 10 minutes total, less than 2% of your day. And in those 10 minutes, you're fundamentally rewiring your nervous system. And here's the beautiful thing. These 10 minutes aren't adding something extra to your life. You're replacing 10 minutes of stress or anxiety or reactivity with 10 minutes of intentional rewiring. You're already spending the time. You're just redirecting it.
This isn't motivation. This is architecture. You're building a structure. You're building a ritual. You're building a daily practice that rewires your nervous system. And once the structure is in place, the results follow automatically. Build the ritual. The results follow. After 30 days of consistent practice, you'll be different. After 60 days, you'll be transformed. After 90 days, you'll be someone who used to struggle with anxiety and reactivity and scattered focus. Now you're someone who is clear and calm and regulated. That's the difference 90 days of 10 minutes a day makes. So the commitment is simple. 10 minutes a day. That's it. Not more, not less. Just 10 minutes. Morning, midday, evening. Show up, do the practice, track it, and watch what happens to your life. Because the tools work. The resets work. The breathing works. The distraction drills work. You've learned all of this. But knowing and doing are different. The question now is whether you're willing to do. Whether you're willing to commit to 10 minutes a day. Because on the other side of that commitment is a transformed life. A life where you're not reactive. A life where you're not scattered. A life where you're resourced and clear and present. A life where you show up as the best version of yourself. That's waiting for you, but only if you build the ritual. Now you have the architecture, you have the plan, you have the structure, but there's one more piece. And this is the piece that most people miss. This is the piece that separates people who maintain their transformation from people who eventually slip back into old patterns. Chapter 10 is about the exhilarating breakthrough. It's about what happens when you actually commit to this and do the work. It's about your life reimagined. Breakthrough isn't a destination. It's a new baseline. Listen to me, it's not some magical moment where suddenly everything is perfect. It's not a day where you wake up and all your problems are solved. It's a gradual recognition that you're living differently. And then one day you realize, this is just how I live now. It doesn't announce itself loudly, it whispers. You're sitting in a situation that would have triggered you 6 months ago, and you notice you're calm. The old anxiety isn't there. The old reactivity isn't there. And you think, oh, that's different. You're having a conversation with someone you love, and instead of being somewhere else in your head, you're actually present, you're actually listening, you're actually there. And you think, this is new. You're facing a challenge, and instead of panicking, instead of spiraling, you pause. You do a body scan reset. You regulate. You think clearly. You respond from a resourced place. And the challenge that would have derailed you months ago is just something to solve. And you think, I'm different. That's breakthrough. Not a moment, a recognition that the baseline has shifted.
And here's what's important. When stress hits now, which it does because stress always hits, she doesn't spiral. She naturally reaches for her tools, the body scan reset, the breathing anchor. She's not thinking about it anymore. It's automatic. It's her default. And the stress passes and she keeps moving. That's the difference. Before breakthrough, stress would derail her for days. After breakthrough, stress is just stress. It comes, she handles it, it goes, and she keeps moving. Breakthrough isn't about eliminating stress. Breakthrough is about not being controlled by stress. Breakthrough is about having the tools to regulate yourself so that stress doesn't derail you anymore. And here's what most people don't understand about breakthrough. It's contagious. Your transformation doesn't stay contained, it ripples outward. I worked with a parent who started the practice, body scan reset every morning, breathing anchor midday, evening reset, 10 minutes a day. And her nervous system started to regulate. She was calmer, she was more present, she was less reactive. And her kids noticed immediately. Before, when mom was stressed, the whole house felt tense. Everyone was walking on eggshells. Everyone was reactive. But now, when stress hits, mom regulates. Mom breathes. Mom stays calm. And the whole energy of the house shifts. And something remarkable happened. Her kids started developing better emotional regulation too, not because she taught them the tools, but because they were watching her, because they were experiencing a calmer, more regulated parent. And their nervous systems were learning. They were mirroring her regulation. They were developing their own baseline shift. That's what I mean when I say your healing is contagious. One person's breakthrough becomes a family's transformation. One person's commitment to 10 minutes a day of nervous system regulation affects everyone around them. And it goes beyond family. When you're regulated, you show up differently at work. You make better decisions. You're more creative. You're more collaborative. You're not reactive. And people want to work with you, and your work results improve. When you're regulated, you show up differently in relationships. You're more present. You listen better. You respond instead of react. And your relationships deepen, and people feel safer around you. When you're regulated, you show up as a leader. You lead from clarity instead of fear. You make decisions from wisdom instead of panic, and people follow you because they trust that you're thinking clearly. Your healing is contagious. Lead by example. That's the ripple effect. That's what happens when you commit to the practice. Now here's the reality. You now have everything you need. You have 3 quantum mindfulness tools: body scan reset, breathing anchor, distraction noticing drills. You understand how they work. You understand the neuroscience. You understand why they work. You know the daily ritual. You know how to track. You know how to build consistency. The only variable left is you. Will you use this? Will you do the work? Will you commit to 10 minutes a day? Will you show up consistently? Will you build the ritual? That's the only question left. Because I can tell you the tools work. I can show you the research. I can give you the real-world examples. I can explain the neuroscience. But none of that matters if you don't actually do it. I worked with someone who heard all of this. She understood it intellectually. She got it. But she resisted.
She thought, I don't have time. I don't have the discipline. This probably won't work for me anyway. So she didn't start. 2 months later, she was in a crisis, health crisis. She was desperate, and she finally decided, I have nothing to lose. Let me just try. So she started. 1 body scan reset, that night. That's it, just 1. She felt the shift immediately. Just 1 reset, and her mind was clearer. Just 1 reset, and she slept better. And the next morning, she did it again, and the breathing anchor. And by the end of the week, she was different. By the end of 2 weeks, she was transformed. And she said something that I hear from everyone who finally commits. She said, why did I wait 2 months to start? Why did I suffer for 2 months when I could have just started the practice? That's the regret. Not that the tools don't work. The regret is waiting. The regret is suffering when the solution was available the whole time. So here's my ask. Don't wait. Don't spend 2 months resisting. Don't spend 2 months suffering when you could spend 2 months transforming. Start tonight,
Right now, one body scan reset. That's it. That's the whole commitment. Close your eyes. Scan your body, feet to face. Release tension. 60 seconds. That's it. Feel the shift. Feel what's possible. Then, tomorrow morning, add the breathing anchor. 4 in, 7 hold, 8 out. 3 times. Feel your nervous system shift into safety. Then the next day, add the distraction noticing drill. Spot and label. Notice when something pulls you away from what matters, and consciously choose to return. You're not doing all 3 tools at once if that's overwhelming. You're adding them one at a time. One day, one tool. Building the practice step by step. And within a week, you'll have all 3 tools integrated into your daily practice. And you'll be different. You'll notice it, and people around you will notice it. And then you keep going. You keep doing the 10-minute ritual every single day. Morning, midday, evening. You track it. You see your streak. And you watch what happens to your life. Because this is real. This is not theoretical. This is not motivational speaking. This is neuroscience. This is physiology. This is how your nervous system actually works. When you regulate your nervous system consistently, you rewire your brain. When you create safety signals, your brain learns that you're safe. When you practice over and over, new neural pathways solidify, and your baseline shifts, and breakthrough becomes your new normal. Your mind is either going to be your greatest asset or your greatest liability. That's the choice you get to make, every single day, every single moment. Will you use the tools? Will you do the practice? Will you commit to 10 minutes a day? Will you build the ritual? Will you transform your nervous system? Will you break through? The answer to all of those questions depends on one thing: your willingness to start. Not tomorrow, not when you have more time, not when you're less busy. Now. Right now. Because you deserve to live a life where you're calm under pressure, where you're clear about your direction, where you're present with people you love, where you're making decisions from wisdom instead of panic, where you're healing, where you're winning. That life is available to you, but only if you choose it, only if you commit to it, only if you show up. Your breakthrough is waiting. It's on the other side of the commitment you make right now. So choose, right now. Are you going to keep living the way you've been living? Or are you going to take back control of your nervous system and your life? The choice is yours. And I know what I hope you choose. Because I've seen what happens when someone makes this choice. I've seen the transformation. I've seen the breakthrough. I've seen the life that becomes possible when someone commits to these tools and does the work. And it's extraordinary. It's exhilarating. It's exactly what you're looking for. So start tonight. One body scan reset. Feel the shift. And then tomorrow morning, take the next step. And the next day, the next step. And keep going. Build the ritual. Watch your life change. Experience the breakthrough. You've got this. Now go get it.
Here's what you now know. Your mind is at war, but you're not powerless. You have 3 weapons: body scan resets for instant clarity, breathing anchors for state control, distraction noticing drills for unstoppable focus. These aren't theoretical. They work because they're wired into your neurology. They work because they interrupt the chaos loop. They work because consistency rewires your nervous system. You're not going to fix everything tomorrow, but you're going to start tonight. One reset, one breath, one small shift in attention. And then you'll do it again tomorrow, and again the next day. And 21 days from now, you won't recognize your own mind. 30 days from now, people will ask what changed. 90 days from now, you'll be living in a different life entirely. Your health battles, you'll win them from a place of calm, not panic. Your goals, you'll dominate them from a place of clarity, not confusion. Your daily wars, you'll walk through them from a place of power, not reactivity. This is your moment. Not someday, not after you get your life together. Right now, tonight. Pick one reset and do it. Then text a friend. Tell one person that you're taking your mind back. Make it real. Make it non-negotiable. Your breakthrough is waiting. Go get it.